Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA, episode 277. I am Brennan. UFC 289, Nunes versus Aldana. All right, this is going to be the main card breakdown. We're going to break down all the fights, the main event. We're going to break it down round by round, go over everything, implications. Real quick, before we get into that, subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff. That way you know the next video is coming out, and it helps me out, and I appreciate that. Also, if you're looking for a specific fight breakdown, timestamps are down below. Let's get started. All right. Oh man, this main event. I'm sorry. It was a slog to get through. It was rough. I mean, it sounds. It's hard to criticize a performance. I don't think Amanda Nunes did anything wrong. Nothing wrong. She won the fight. She did everything she was supposed to do. I think Aldana just didn't show up for this one. I mean, we can look at the stats here and we'll break it down. I'm going to try to make these videos a little breezier unless we have something really deep to dive in on, but I think everything on this card was pretty straightforward, except for the frickin' guardrail breaking and people falling in. So there's clips of that online. But yeah, like as Mike Malott was walking into the ring or the arena, people were leaning on the guardrails, on the sides of the tunnel. The freaking guardrails fell over. It was unbelievable. Never seen that before in my life. All right. Hard kicks from Nunes to the body and to the legs early. Nunes was taking her down so easy. She just ankle picked her, and then she lets her right back up. She had no interest in going to the ground with her at all. 2 minutes, and Aldana had not landed a single shot. Okay, nice lead uppercut from Nunes. Nice right hand from Aldana at one point that landed. It was probably the best shot she landed in the entire fight. She landed one good right hand in the first round. There was a nothing round, 21-8 for Nunes for significant strikes. Nothing from Aldana. Clearly a 10-9, easy peasy there. Second round here. Also we should go over the judges' scorecards because I noticed that there was very little consensus. It's not that It's not that they disagreed on who won the fight. It's that the round. It seems like there was always one dissenting judge when it came to everybody would give it 30-27, and then one judge would be like 29-28. So I don't know, like what the deal was. I don't know if there was just, I don't know if there's bets. Are there bets on that kind of thing? Because if there are, maybe that guy was there to save those people, save the freaking casino some money. I have no idea. We'll get into it. Alrighty. Back to where we were. Sorry. Fight stats. Okay. Second round here. Aldana was waiting to counter. She was not moving into range. She just did not show up for this. She was stationary, wasn't moving her feet really well, and even when she would, she kept that high tight guard. There's nothing wrong with that, but she just would not put herself out there. Sometimes it's one of those things where you can be so safe. Like, the thing is, if she was so safe that she didn't take any damage, I can maybe applaud her for that, and she just didn't get her offense going, but that's not what happened. She just shelled up and refused to counter-strike or move herself into range, because every time she would get tagged, or even Nunes was feinting a lot, and Aldana would bite on everything. It's just, it seemed like Aldana just didn't want to be there, or even if she did want to be there, the moment was too big for her or whatever. Nunes kept using that front kick. She kept snapping it to the body. She used a oblique kick to the knee. You know what? I was calling for it. I don't know why Nunes didn't flick that front kick up to the face. I feel like, she could have easily have landed, 20 of those to Aldana's chops and maybe even knocked her out like that. Nice uppercut and hook combo and another takedown to end this round. 20-18, 31-11 for the striking numbers in favor of Nunes. This is the story of the entire fight, guys. This is the way it is. Amanda starts to finally open up in this third round. She's extending her combos early on. Nunes with 2 takedowns and right into half guard on top. Nunes with the takedown again gets the back. Aldana doesn't take advantage of the position. She just backs off because she slipped off the back, and Aldana had her on the ground and didn't pressure her, didn't do anything. Big knee and a hard right hand from Nunes to end the round. I had it 30-27 in favor of Nunes. The striking numbers here, 23-8. Just nothing, guys. If you did not buy this card, I do not recommend buying this card. Like, it wasn't a bad card overall, but I would just wait till this one comes out. This was not worth watching. 25 minutes of this was a slog. Hard right elbow from Nunes, then a hard right hand. Aldana defending the takedown, but takes an uppercut and a right hand. Nunes is landing at will almost every jab, and then a right hand behind it is landing. A hard right hand, and then to the body, and then up top from Nunes, and then a spinning elbow. 40-36 on my card, 48-13 for the striking numbers in that round. I didn't think it was a 10-8 round, but one of the judges must have. Last round here, Nunes with the takedown. Nunes in mount and dominated this entire last round. 4 minutes and 36 seconds of control time. Not as many strikes, but that's because she was on top of her. There wasn't a ton of striking. 19-1, but I did give her a 10-8 round for this last one, scoring it 50-44. I gave that to Nunes. Easy peasy. And also the big news from this, obviously, she retired. Looking at the judges' scorecards here, Saul D'Amato and Mike Bell agree, all 10 9s except for that last round, which is the way I scored my card. Good job, Saul. Good job, Mike. And then Chris Lee here saw it fit to give Nunes a 10-8 in that fourth round. I'm not going to fight over it, but I didn't see it being a 10-8. I didn't think it was that close to... Aldana landed some stuff in that round. It wasn't significant or so significant that she won it, but even though she got outstruck, I felt like there was enough to stop her from that. So, real quick, I feel like it with Amanda Nunes retiring officially, I feel it would be disrespectful to knock over her career at least a little bit here. So her 3 losses in the UFC are to Alexis Davis back in 2011, Kat Zingano in 2014, and then Juliana Pena. She lost the belt in 2021. So that, ruined the streak, and she can no longer get that from Anderson Silva. But looking at the people that she beat, Shyla Gaff, Jermaine Durandamy back in the day in 2013, Julia Budd back in 2011, back in Strikeforce, Sarah McMahon, Valentina Shevchenko in a decision win in a 3-rounder. That was a legitimate win, but you could tell that Shevchenko is going to be better over 5 rounds. We saw that in the rematch. Then she beat Miesha Tate to get the belt when Miesha Tate was kind of on her way out. Then they brought Ronda Rousey back for that fucking clown show of a card that they wanted to bring back. Ronda Rousey just got smoked. Great win for Nunes there. Valentina Shevchenko comes up a weight class to fight for the belt. And there's a split decision win for Nunes. Now, arguably, everybody has said they think that Valentina won this one. If you look at the striking numbers here, 86-72, it looks like, oh, well, clearly Nunes won this. And then if you go back and look, you're like, oh, well, she beat her in striking in almost every round. Sure. Go back and watch that fight and watch who's landing the damage. The bigger damaging shots are coming from Shevchenko, and they're point fighting. So Shevchenko should have won that one. She beats the shit out of Raquel Pennington. Then she knocks out Cyborg 51 seconds into a fight that was supposed to be fun. Didn't last very long. And then she knocks out Holly Holm with a head kick. Has a really boring fight with Jermaine Durandamy. Has another one where she beats up a girl, Felicia Spencer. Megan Anderson, she chokes out. Dang. Megan Anderson did not belong in there. I think this was at featherweight as well. So some of these were at featherweight, like the Felicia Spencer one. It wasn't at bantamweight. And she loses the belt convincingly to Juliana Pena, and then gets it back convincingly, and now she wins against Irene Aldana. So I've never really... I don't know if I've come across as I dislike Amanda Nunes. I hope that's not the case, because I don't dislike her. I don't think she's a bad person. I don't think she's a horrible champion. I think she is a victim of the time. I think she's a victim of her competition, right? All you can do as a fighter is fight, right? You can fight your own game. You can fight whoever they put in front of you. You can't control what era you fight in. And it just so happens that she's in a really weak era in 135. And, you can look at this with hindsight and say, oh, well, or not hindsight, but you can say comparatively, like, oh, maybe she's just that good and everybody else is just that shitty. That's not the case. She's clearly better than everybody that she's competed against for the most part. And that's absolutely true. And like I said, she's definitely the champion. No, inarguably, the only win on there that should have been a loss was to Valentina Shevchenko. Pretty much nobody else had anything for her. There was moments in certain fights, like the Jermaine Durandamy fight in the stand-up. There were some moments you could say, like, oh, well, Nunes doesn't want to be here, so she goes to the takedown. But hey, it's MMA. That's what you do, right? You don't like a situation, take it to another place and dominate where you can. So there's very few moments in her title reign where you saw holes in her game, And even when you did, people couldn't take advantage of it completely until Juliana Pena did a couple years ago. Now, to the state of the division, first of all, 145 needs to go away. I am sick of hearing about it. I think I've been talking about. I've been saying it for the past 5 years, 4 years, whatever. It's not a division. It doesn't exist. It's not real, right? It's a figment of your imagination. It doesn't real. You want to know how you know it's not real? Look at the rankings. Women's featherweight doesn't exist. They have a champion, and that's it. The only reason they created featherweight was for Cyborg because she can't make 135. And then, Amanda Nunes goes up and beats her. They don't want to do that rematch. Even if Amanda Nunes has a good chance of beating her, they don't want to take that chance. They don't do the rematch, and then she's out of the UFC. So now they got the 145 division with Amanda Nunes just deciding when she doesn't want to cut weight for a fight, or they need an interesting matchup going up there to fight. Again, not her fault. This is not Amanda Nunes' fault. She didn't say, I want this 145 division and I refuse to fight it. No, she didn't do that. She did nothing wrong here. She's been dominant and she's beaten everybody that they put in front of her. So, except for Kat Zingano. That was forever ago. Where does she stand all time for female fighters? Probably the best. I don't know of another female fighter that you can put up there other than Cyborg. And, she's a victim of the same thing. She's fighting even less, I would argue, less talented women at 145. I've spoke to this before. She's also a victim of her weight class because Amanda Nunes is bigger, right? And she's relatively muscular. She doesn't carry a lot of extra weight on her when she's in there at 135. At 145, obviously she's carrying extra weight that she doesn't need to, but 135, she's relatively lean. She's not just lazy and not cutting weight. She's very athletic. She hits hard. She's great on the ground. She's an excellent competitor. But the problem with all that is most women aren't going to be athletic and naturally built to be a 135-pound athlete in MMA. They're just not. Most women are going to fall into the lower weight classes, like the 115. I've said it before. I think 135 is similar in the men's weight classes. Like, you could make the argument that it's middleweight, but I would say it's closer to light heavyweight, just for how sparsely populated the females are when it comes to that weight class, being athletic at that weight. So it's the same in the men's division, right? The heavier it gets, the less men you're going to find in general, and then the less men you're going to find in athletics. Then the less men you're going to find in athletics who are willing to compete in MMA, and then now you got to dilute that pool down even further to find the ones who are extremely skilled at that. And I'll do the same thing for the women's 135-pound division, and you're just not going to have a lot of competition there, and that's kind of what's happened. We've got people like Holly Holm is still ranked. She hasn't fought in how long? It's hard for me to take this division as being on par with any of the men's divisions. I would say it's on par with like the men's heavyweight division. As far as skill for skill, I think they're as skilled, if not more skilled than most or all of the heavyweights, right? I just think for the depth of talent, I think it's similar to the men's heavyweight division. It could be even the light heavyweight division. There's more. I'd say there's more talent in this division than there is in the heavyweights. But Amanda Nunes has an amazing career, and I wish her nothing but the best. She seems like she's ready to go spend time with her family, hang out with her daughter and her wife. So I'm excited for her to take the next step, and we'll see what happens this division. If it gets more interesting because the talent level drops, and now the belt's going to be changing hands again, we shall see. All right, the co-main event here. Charles Oliveira defeating Beneil Dariush in the first round via TKO. Yeah, this was weird. There's a nice right kick from Oliveira, and Dariush returned with it. Dariush with the clinch on the cage, and then Charles tried for a takedown, pulled guard. Dariush ends up landing on top and landing some ground and pound. So Dariush actually was doing very well in this round, and then they get back up. Charles landed with this right high kick. He didn't even really land. Dariush blocked it. It just got through with enough force, concussive force, to put Dariush on the back foot, and Oliveira landed a nice right hand to put Dariush down, make him defensive, right? So he went for a takedown, and then Oliveira finished with some ground and pound. So this isn't the result that I was looking for, because I think Dariush makes for an interesting matchup. Even if he loses, we've never seen it before. So that's what I wanted to see, was something new, something interesting. I I think it's bullshit that he had to fight Charles Oliveira to begin with. I think he should have fought for the title already. I think he should have fought Makhachev instead of... I know that we all loved watching the Volkanovski fight versus Makhachev, but Makhachev hasn't defended his belt against anybody in the lightweight division. And it's been, what, a year? Right, so he needs to fight somebody in this division, and there's plenty of challengers here. I think... Whatever. Now that Oliveira beat Dariush, well, now the only guy Makhachev beat as a champion or to become champion is now the still the number one contender and likely to get a title shot. Is anybody clamoring for that again? Right? With how he dismantled Oliveira, is anybody clamoring for that? Oliveira's in a bad spot here, but he might be able to just get the title shot off of name and the fact that that performance that he put on, because that was fantastic. He dismantled Dariush when it came to the striking. So great win for him. All right, Mike Malott taking on Adam Fugitt. Like I mentioned, when Malott walked out, part of the guardrail fell down and people fell into the walkway as he was walking out, and Malott just walked by him. It was crazy. The amount of focus that you have to get around that is weird. And Malott was the last Canadian fighter on this card, and I will spoiler alert, he won. All the Canadians went undefeated. I think it was 6-0 or 5-0 on this card. So hard body shot from Malott, hurting Fugitt bad early, but it wasn't on the liver side. He hit Fugitt on the right side, which is interesting. Nice right hand over the top for Malott. Another right hard body kick from Malott, and then Malott with the body lock lateral drop. Malott caught a kick and took him down yet again. So he had some control time in this round, 1 minute and 19 seconds, and then he outlanded him 14-7, and obviously with that body shot damaged him hard. Malott was kicking to the body and then hard right hand, then a left hook puts Fugitt down. Malott locks up the guillotine, and that is all she wrote. Malott gets that win, and I think he's insanely skilled. Dude's, I mean, he's not the youngest guy. That doesn't matter. He's very good. He's undefeated in the UFC, beating Mickey Gall, Johan Lanus, and then Adam Fugitt. He's got lots of skills. He's dismantling these people. It doesn't look competitive when he's out there. So, he needs to step up in competition. We can see where he really stands. Great fight for him. Great win. Nate the Train Landwehr versus Dan 50K Ige. This fight, it had its moments. This fight wasn't bad. I think this shows a lot about both fighters and then the division as a whole. So, tentative start from both guys with Ige taking the center. Ige was landing the jabs, going with the hook to the body. Nate's defensive, and Ige's landing those hooks. Ige was trying to take his head off with so many of the shots like he always does. And then Nate finally finding his moments and landing when Ige is staying in after his combo. So Ige would enter, land some combos, and then stay for just a split second, and that's when Nate would find an opportunity to land, but it just didn't happen a lot. Then at the end of the round, a huge left hand from Ige landed and put Nate down just for a second, but it was long enough to swing. I mean, even if you didn't have him up, he landed 14 significant strikes to Landwehr's 12. So even if you didn't have him up as far as damage, that for sure did it. So I had him up 10-9. Next round here, right hand lands from distance as he's starting to move back. Dan was landing the jab, and now he's able to move him back and land a big right hand. Nate was landing a right hand and then chasing Dan down, but Ige landed a huge left hook yet again. Nice left from Nate as they come together. Big left hand puts Nate down again, and another round ends with Ige knocking him down. But 41-30, this striking numbers here much more active in this round, a lot more damage being done. Clearly, Ige was out in front, 20-18. Ige lands a left hand that staggered Nate in the beginning of this last round. They're staying in the center and trading. Great left hook to the body from Ige and trying upstairs, looking for the finish. But Nate, with the pressure and output in this last round, might have stole it for me. If you gave this last round to Ige, I totally understand. I could see it going for him as well. He outlanded him 33-32, and with that damage in the beginning. But I felt like Landwehr started to put it on him and pressure him and landed some really good damage down the stretch that either brought it even or tied it up. And because he was the one pressuring, I leaned towards Landwehr. It wasn't so one-sided that if you gave it to Dan Ige, you're crazy. But this continues the descent, right? I remember I mentioned it at the top. Saul D'Amato, 29-28, Mike Bell, 29-28, and a fucking course. Chris Lee's got to give all 3 rounds to Dan Ige. So Saul D'Amato and Mike Bell saw it exactly how I saw it. Again, that doesn't mean I'm right or they're right. If you scored a 30-27, this isn't a bad scorecard from Chris Lee. I just thought it's interesting that he's apparently watching a different fight, or he grades totally different than his contemporaries. It's very interesting. All right, this fight was a blast. Marc-Andre Barriault versus Eryk Anders. A lot of action in this one. The amount of output was crazy. Barriault landed a right hand and dropped Anders 20 seconds into the fight. They get in the clinch and both start landing. Barriault started landing at elbows in tight. Anders landed some knees and uppercuts when they get in the clinch. Right hand from Barriault keeps staggering Anders. Anders staying on him, which is crazy because that's usually Barriault's thing. You know, they call him power bar for a reason because he's got insane cardio. But Anders in on that takedown attempt. He didn't get really anything with it. But Anders kept the pace really high, landed some great shots. But the ones from Barriault did more early, and I feel like he was ahead on damage. So even though Anders outstruck him 37-30, I feel like Barriault did more damage with his 30 shots, especially because he dropped them early. Second round here, hard body kick from Barriault to start. Barriault was landing he landed a 4-piece combo to get Anders to back up. A nice left hand from Anders, lands up top. Barriault answers, and then Anders lands that left to the body. Anders got the single leg takedown. Barriault landed some more, just so much output. There's just so much. I have so many notes. There's a second nut kick in this round from Barriault. They did not take a point from that. I think that's kind of baloney. There was 2 nut kicks here. Nice left hand from Anders. Close round, and I gave it to Anders, not just because of the nut shot, and there's no point deducted, but the damage was close enough, and the pressure went to Anders in my favor. And again, look at the striking numbers here, 24-24, and who was pressuring Anders was. You want to look at control time, he had almost a minute of it. So if the damage is even and all the other things being equal, Anders was the one pressuring. Anders was the one controlling. Anders was the one with the control time. So I gave that. It had it 19-19 going into the third here. Anders landed the knee to the body in the left hand, but Anders and he lands the left hand to the body while Barriault counters with the hook upstairs. Barriault's volume is getting him out in front in this round for sure. He just would not slow down. He kept outlanding him, and Anders finally slowed down just a little bit. Like, his output was good, and he still kept throwing things, but his pressure just wasn't as strong in this round as it was in the rounds before. Barriault landing the jab to the high kick with the right hand. Maybe it wasn't his pressure. Maybe it was his ability to dodge, and then also Barriault just throwing more out there. Barriault won this one with accuracy and volume, even though he moved backwards the whole time in this last round. 41-22 striking numbers. I had him up 29-28. Looking at the judges' scorecards. Oh, hey, we have consensus. All 3 judges gave it 30-27. You gave that second round to Barriault. There's nothing wrong with that. I could see that being that's a valid scorecard in my opinion. I see nothing wrong with that. All right, that is it. That is it for the main card. I'll cover the prelims in the next video. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff. If you like fight breakdowns, like I do 2 or 3 videos every single week, so this will let you know when the videos come out. I appreciate it if you do that. Let me know what you guys thought about the fights. What do you guys think about Nunes' career? Where do you think she stands as far as female fighters? Obviously, I think she's an easy choice for number 1. I don't know who you could argue other than Chris Cyborg, and I think her competition has been worse. She started earlier in high-level MMA, so maybe you give her the legacy status, but I think Nunes clearly has it. So appreciate y'all for stopping by. It means a lot to me. I love y'all. Have a great week.